uncovering the truth, piece by piece, in the world of mysteries.
It began without a formal declaration. On a humid morning in June 2025, gunfire erupted near the Dangrik Mountains. What was once a border dispute turned into a full-blown regional conflict. Thailand and Cambodia, two neighbors with shared history and long-held grudges, were now exchanging missiles, not words. On May 18, 2025, before sunrise, gunfire erupted near the Pria Vihear border zone. Artillery, drones, and automatic weapons were reportedly used. 3 Cambodian soldiers were killed instantly. Thailand claimed it was a defensive response to a border intrusion. Cambodian officials denied the incursion, accusing Thailand of initiating the attack. The government called it a deliberate provocation. The situation escalated rapidly, fueling outrage in Phnom Penh. Videos shared by villagers showed rising smoke and terrified locals fleeing into the forest. The footage went viral, drawing international attention. This was no longer a border clash, it marked the beginning of a regional crisis. The international community quickly took notice. ASEAN called for restraint, but behind the scenes, member states were divided. Vietnam and Laos leaned toward Cambodia, while Singapore and the Philippines backed Thailand's position. The US State Department issued a carefully worded statement urging both sides to de-escalate. Meanwhile, China increased patrols along its southern border and offered to mediate, raising eyebrows across Southeast Asia. Analysts warned that this wasn't just a local conflict, it was a proxy for larger geopolitical tensions. Global media began to call it Asia's powder keg, hinting at a wider confrontation if diplomacy failed. As artillery thundered across the border, villages, once filled with laughter, fell silent. Elders gathered their families. Young men grabbed what they could carry. The sound of drums was replaced by sirens and the smell of smoke. In a makeshift shelter, a boy clutched his backpack, asking, "Will we ever go home again?" A volunteer wiped away tears, handing him a warm blanket. But outside, the fire line crept closer with each hour. War wasn't announced, it arrived in the middle of dinner. For thousands trapped in the crossfire, diplomacy meant nothing. Only survival mattered, and even that was no longer guaranteed. As the fighting intensified near the Pria Vihear temple, thousands of civilians fled in panic. Families were separated, roads clogged with desperate refugees, and border checkpoints became scenes of chaos. Aid groups struggled to get supplies into the conflict zone. Medical tents overflowed. Water and food ran low. Footage of children crying in makeshift camps shocked viewers around the world. International media descended on the border, capturing raw footage of the humanitarian crisis. News anchors described the region as on the brink of collapse. Drones filmed endless lines of refugees. But despite global headlines, both governments dismissed calls for a ceasefire, accusing each other of propaganda. Under mounting global pressure, both Cambodia and Thailand agreed to open back-channel negotiations, with ASEAN quietly stepping in to mediate. Military activity along the border began to slow, hinting at a possible diplomatic thaw. The talks were informal, unpublicized, and held via encrypted video channels. While far from a treaty, the dialogue marked the first time both sides acknowledged the need to step back from the brink. International observers cautioned that the crisis was far from over, but for the first time in weeks, there was a glimmer of hope fueled not by weapons, but by words. After days of mounting pressure, both Cambodia and Thailand announced a temporary ceasefire. The announcement was met with cautious relief, but few believed it would last. On the ground, troops remained on high alert, artillery stayed in place, and military drones continued to monitor the border. Journalists reporting from the scene described the atmosphere as tense silence. Critics warned this ceasefire was just a strategic pause. Analysts suggested both sides were buying time, rearming, repositioning, waiting for a trigger. Thailand's Prime Minister broke his silence. In a televised address, he declared the country's commitment to defending its sovereignty. He emphasized, "Thailand will not initiate war, but we are fully prepared if forced." Across Bangkok, military convoys were seen mobilizing. Troops were deployed to the border regions. A sense of anxious patriotism swept through the country as citizens lit candles in silent vigils. Meanwhile, Thai cyber units launched defensive operations, fending off alleged Cambodian cyberattacks. The conflict had expanded beyond physical borders into digital warfare and psychological pressure. As tanks rolled near border towns, a quieter war raged in the shadows. Cyber attacks hit government servers in both countries. Defacement, data leaks, and distributed denial of service classic digital warfare. On the dark web, anonymous accounts leaked military positions, sowing panic. Some believed it was foreign actors, others blamed rogue activists. The line between truth and propaganda blurred. TikTok and Telegram lit up with viral misinformation. Fake footage of airstrikes circulated widely, sparking outrage and confusion. Both governments scrambled to control the narrative, but the damage was done. Behind closed doors, emergency summits were held. ASEAN envoys flew between Phnom Penh and Bangkok, urging both sides to de-escalate. But neither government wanted to appear weak in front of their people. Meanwhile, military drills escalated. Thailand launched Operation Iron Wall, while Cambodia moved long-range artillery near the disputed zone. Satellite images showed armored units converging within miles of each other. The question was no longer if, but when. A single misfire, a misinterpreted maneuver, anything could trigger a full-scale conflict. The world held its breath, waiting for a spark. When everyone braced for war, Japan did the unthinkable. It invited both nations to Tokyo. No press, no fanfare, just one room, two flags, a fragile chance. Thailand's delegate arrived in silence. Cambodia's hours later, eyes wary, shoulders tight. There were no smiles, only guarded stares and clutched documents. After 6 hours behind closed doors, the door creaked open. A joint statement: ceasefire, no victory, no apology, just survival. As the dust settles along the border, what remains isn't just wreckage or lost lives, but questions. Questions about nationalism, about history repeating itself, and about how quickly a misunderstanding can spiral into chaos. For Cambodia and Thailand, this wasn't just a territorial clash, it was a test of resilience, of leadership, and of diplomacy. For the region, it was a wake-up call. Peace is fragile and unity is never guaranteed. But perhaps the most haunting question is, what if it hadn't stopped? What if cooler heads hadn't prevailed? Would the headlines now speak of war, not tension? We may never fully know what truly happened behind closed doors, but one thing is certain: this won't be the last time history knocks at the door of Southeast Asia. The real question is, will we be ready to answer? Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, subscribe to MysteryMind for more global stories that challenge what you think you know.